Easily one of the biggest parts of the game that holds players back at every level is the inability to handle pressure. Now, it's not easy. It requires composure, high skill levels, feel for the game, and more, and it's not easy to work on either. But if you can crack this code, which hopefully I'm about to show you how to do, you'll spend more time on the floor, more time with the ball in your hands, and you'll feel immensely more comfortable on the court. Now, there are tons of types of pressure, so off ball screens, intense pressure in the gaps, being pressured in the post, etc. But in this video, we'll focus primarily on anything in the opposing and middle thirds of the court, so basically bringing the ball up and then initiating the offense, which seems like the easiest but is often the toughest one to deal with and what holds players back so often. So let's go through some techniques, concepts, and ideas, and make sure to stick around till the end to see how we train this. And if you want a full guide for how to train this and so many other skills, check out the Virtual Academy. Whether it's a skill program, our in-season program, our mental skills academy, or the ultimate development program, which includes all of this, you can become one of thousands of hoopers who have taken their game to a brand new level. Alright, so the first thing to note here is that many times pressure isn't real pressure. It's more so either to one, slow down the offense from getting into their flow and cut down on the shot clock so they're just kind of there, or two, to test out how you're going to react as a ball handler. If you're poised and unshaken, many times they just kind of back off you and you have no problem getting it up the floor and even speeding up the pace. Now, what you don't want to do here is overreact to a bit of pressure or just a defender somewhere around you and give them an in to try to crank up the pressure and turn you over. So some of this is literally just about looking confident and poised. Now, other times it'll be a more aggressive pressure, and this is where it gets fun. We want to be able to control our pace here, and that requires playing out of a defensive position at times like this, where the focus is keeping the body in between defender and ball while still being ready to explode or change direction comfortably. Now, if you have more space like this, usually you can still remain forward facing, but in a nice, ready to go, kind of hinged posture, where one, the ball spends less time in the air and more time in your hands, and two, you're ready to explode if they jump and take this risk. But once they're within a bit more than arm's reach here, then we're into that defensive position where you can inch forward at a nice pace while keeping max distance between defender and ball. This doesn't have to be super exaggerated or all the way, but even a nice little rotation like this where the shoulder is pointing towards their chest is valuable. Now, quick note here that you don't want to jump at every little aggressive jab they throw. Here he does a great job of staying composed and not spinning off of that, because many times good defenders are baiting you into turning here. Just something to keep in mind. Taking a few more details on this ready defensive position too. One, that off arm is almost always out, so if they do try to jump in, you can slow them down a bit. And don't be afraid to use this with some strength and some aggression. And even if you don't actually use it or create contact, it also serves as almost like an antenna when they get closer for you to be able to feel as they're closing that space. And two, these guys are making sure that they're still able to see the entire floor. So many players fully turn away from the defense and close off at least half of their vision, but finding a balance between being rotated and also able to see the floor is essential. Also, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but watch how much time the ball spends in the hand versus the air. These guys are really good at cuffing and smoothly controlling the ball, so whenever they need to go, they don't need to wait for the ball to get back to their hand. They're out of there. And this means we got to train our handles accordingly, which we'll discuss. Now, of course, we can't always just inch our way up the floor slowly, so if we want to push the pace a bit and use the pressure against them, we can do what's called an engage and release, which is making one or maybe two quick moves, looking to blow by for a couple of steps and then decelerating. So engaging here and then kind of releasing from them, which especially in the full court will often reset the space. And now we're in a good spot here. We don't want to overcomplicate this, and this is often best with just a few steps, right? Otherwise, we may get too sped up and out of control. And for example here, just because he gets an angle doesn't mean he goes all the way. He slows it down, uses this space he's created to get the ball up the court, and gets into the offense. Plus, it's way easier to get defenders to jump on full court moves because they do not want to get beat and they're already backpedaling. So if you can make them sell out to cut you off like this, where he fully turns towards the sideline, you're most times in the clear. Now, expect some contact here, and even look to be aggressive and potentially draw some fouls when defenders are handsy. And also keep in mind that with some defenses, the goal is actually to turn you at all costs. And when that happens, there's another defender flying in, and we got to be ready for this. Don't just consider your defender, but try to map the entire floor to understand when you can turn comfortably, and be ready to protect it upon turning. Now, with all this being said, sometimes the best move here, especially once you get past half court, is to actually use the pressure against them and create an advantage off of the dribble. You usually have very limited gap defenders here since you're further up, And this initial defender is in a pressure mindset, leaning forward. So very often you can beat these guys downhill, maybe get a bucket, but even more often just create chaos in the defense, create an advantage. Next, keep an eye out for danger zones, which are most commonly corners. So here. So if you get to this area, you have 2 extra defenders now, the out of bounds lines, which are going to be trapping you in like this. Here you can see the defense baiting them to going into that corner, but instead he swings it. He slightly gets stuck in the danger zone, but a good pass fake alleviates that. Here, same thing where he almost gets there, but does a good job of stopping early and getting it out before they can really engage the trap. So this is definitely something to be very cognizant of. And part of this is telling your teammates where to go and manipulating the court like here, where he tells his guy to get out and then waits for him to draw his defender out of the danger zone so he can go up the sideline. Other times you can use your teammates to your advantage by getting them to set these little chip screens or even blindside screens in the backcourt, especially your bigs, that immediately clear up space, can get you some downhill momentum, and also put defenders' heads on a swivel for the rest of the game if they get hit on one. And this chaos done right works wonders. Just look at this play. Or even using your defender's teammate against them as a screen in the midst of the chaos. That's some next level stuff right there. Now, we also got to consider receiving the ball, catching it, which can often be the toughest part of this entire process. So 2 big keys here. 1, be super physical and without clearly pushing off, give them some resistance and then separate out. And 2, do it as unpredictably as possible. Don't just run to the ball. Be patient, slow down, and then separate out. Then on the catch, don't rush this. So many players try to catch and go too quickly, and unless you've mapped the entire court and get space to get some momentum down court on the catch, then just catch first, slow down, keep it away, and then decide. Plus, with this patience allows a half or a full second for others to clear out and create more space for you to work with. Other times, if you can't get the ball because you're being denied, these little blind pig type actions where a big flashes up to catch and then you come off of them for a pitch or handoff do a great job of turning the defender's attention for a window of time to get you the ball comfortably. Now, last idea here before I show you how to train for this is that sometimes getting off the ball earlier is the best way to do this. Of course, when a trap is coming your way, as soon as you're sure that they're committing, you want to find an open teammate, which there will be one because there's 2 on you, to create an advantage. That's simple. And you can see how easy it is when you don't hold on to the rock for too long here and put the ball in the hands of your teammates in a 4v3 situation, how easy it is to go get a bucket. Or even giving it up, getting them to turn their attention, and sprinting into a nice give and go. All right, now how do you actually build this ability? Well, at the simplest level, play against really good defenders, talk trash a bit to get them challenging you a bit more, pressuring you, and then try to use all these techniques. But if we go into a bit more detail, we can supplement tons of this in training. 1, we got to switch up the way we train our ball handling a bit. As I talked about, building the control necessary for keeping the ball in your hand longer, as well as unorthodox ways to move with the ball like this, which is necessary for you handling pressure, and really nobody ever seems to train it but us. In stride moves like these are also huge for when you engage and release and need to keep moving forward at a high speed, or when you get ramped up speed wise and need to be comfortable controlling the rock. So if you expect stuff like this to apply in terms of your ball handling, forget it. You got to get outside of the box and really challenge yourself to deal with pressure, especially when you're in the gym by yourself. You also need to do more live ball handling through pressure, right? Drills where you're getting reps in, learning how to keep the ball away, progress forward, deal with contact, play out of a defensive posture, and adapt with every dribble. So feel free to implement some of these drills into your training, and if you're interested in a specific plan for how to build these skills to handle pressure better with the ball, check out our programs on the Virtual Academy. I'd suggest primarily the ball handling ones for this.